Let's see. Let's see. I don't know what they're doing. Sweetie, I think we're on. We're not on camera, though. There you guys are. We're not on camera. Okay. So just come and be with me.
We're on. Oh, hi.
Hey.
Oh, shoot. I'll be right back. Hold on.
So, yeah, guys, just crazy. Honestly, I think we are close to when they shut things down. I really think we are very close to when they're going to shut everything down. Yeah, crazy. I've only done like probably 500, maybe 1,000 lives. We've done 6,000 videos. I actually saw the stats. YouTube gave me the stats. We've done 6,000 videos. 22 this month. Congratulations. Hi, you guys. Great to see you. Everybody, Vildan, Oneness, Heather Marie, Elantra, KK, Inspire Me, Anilu Hu, Rosale Eduardo, Dio the Enigma, of course, Robbie, and of course, Israel. Gosh, guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. Kind of crazy times.
It is crazy. So while we're opening up, I do want to please. I have some prayer requests for Lori and Steve. They are family members, so they are in our sphere of influence. Lori and Steve. So please say prayers for them, and for anyone who is helping them. And also, I want us to please say prayers out there in Washington and surrounding areas, and then anyone and everyone who's being affected by this weather. So I want to have our intent out there, and then of course we'll go through everything like we do. I just wanted to start this off with that energy that of just that people are asking for prayers. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad that we were able to get this back and get this going. I've always known since I made the channel that there was going to come a time when it's going to be like super chaotic, super crazy, and reality as we knew it will be gone. And we're going to be in the post-event world. Well, that event, was it the plague upon the land? No, it really wasn't. The plague upon the land was just a little dress rehearsal. Even all the weather events that we've had, the last 8 years since 2017, and I still view everything started with the first eclipse in August of 2017. Seemed like everything started to go crazy. Yet I still feel all this has been just a dress rehearsal, so to speak, for the bigger events, the real major roller coaster events. And I do, and Dave, when we were doing our interview with him, Dave Adapt 2030, he was asking, and I said, I think if we get through December this month, then, we could really be in the clear and have some really much more positive timelines. And he said, so you expect something big this month? And I said, yeah, I expect major events this month. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out because everybody's consciousness plays into this, all of us. So I think, again, a lot of people are putting out positive intentions, and, it's having a positive effect. It really, really is. Yeah, at the same time, we all know the things that are planned that we will probably end up facing. Hey there, Paige K. Including, obviously, the war drums, which are still beating, but I do want to ask everybody, if you haven't checked out, we did a fun video earlier in the day. It was the one before this, the magnetic black rock located at the North Pole. Why are they hiding it? Again, if you haven't checked that out, please do. It's unique, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there This is a channeling that came through at 2 a.m. 1:30, 2 a.m. We were woken up by the galactics coming through all of a sudden with messages about our reality that would blow most people's minds. And so this is on Patreon. It'll be going up on YouTube memberships as well shortly. Just fascinating stuff and stuff that I didn't know until last night. So, really interesting, cool stuff. Again, you could join the Patreon family for as little as $1 a month, and there's 2 levels of supporters over at YouTube with the memberships as well. Ex-CIA officer says the agency can remotely hijack your TV, turn the speaker into a mic, and listen to everything you say, even when the TV's off. Yeah, we know. And so much of the time people would think that, you're just not good with technology and so you're having issues. No, we're getting screwed with millions of people. This is what they do.
It's just hitting me, and I wonder how many of you guys too. Like, what if this information is all over the place? It's out there for everyone to see. Everyone, has the option. If they want to see, they know what they're doing to us. But what if they were posting stuff like this on whatever form of social media we had 20 years ago? What if they were saying it back then, and would they have listened back then? It's like, why wait? It's like we all know they're listening in on us. Why are they giving their hand now? Why not give their hand 20 years ago? There's got to be a shift in consciousness.
Yeah, everything's changed. They're on their playbook. They're into the Hail Mary time, which means kind of anything can go. And so this is really, as we were saying, it's really go time. It really, really is. I do think that this month has been pegged as the month to kick off all sorts of craziness, including economic collapse in some countries around the world, predominantly the US, and also I would say the EU. And we could see that. And, again, at some point in time, I've always known that we'll end up getting cut off. And I do think that's coming sooner than later. And I hope you guys can still see me as they shifted something there. When you look at what's going on, and this gets lost with all the headlines going on in the world, the level of severe flooding across the globe just keeps increasing. This is in Brazil. I mean, it's everywhere you look. It's massive. And I saw somebody saying, "Oh, you laughed when I said there's mud floods coming," as he was showing a house that was almost completely buried in mud. And, no, it's real. It's absolutely real. Mud floods are coming, and we are in the beginning stages of a mud flood event. At least that's what I think, and that's what a lot of the other people I guess you would say, tweeting with on Twitter, we're in agreement, at least those that know, like you guys. You understand what's going on. This is a big event. This is a big redo. We go through these periodically, but when you're talking the end of a Kali Yuga, that's the silver lining. This over here is in Iraq. So, we go from Brazil in South America. Now we go over to Iraq in Asia, and look at this. I mean, it's just wherever you look, it's just cars are getting swept away. It's really intensifying. This is Indonesia. So, we're going to a totally different area on the globe, but it looks very similar. And look at the piles of mud building up.
I know. It's so sad. And KK, no, I don't think that's negative at all. I feel that you're realistic, and it totally makes sense to me, because when they have nothing to lose, why not just throw their hand out and just show everyone what they're doing. I think what might be helpful for all of us to do is just continue with the energy, because it's that unseen force that seems to make things move, and that goes at both ends of the spectrum, the light and the dark.
Yes, absolutely. Cognitive dissonance is less now. That's a great point, Jen. It's like when it keeps hitting you in the head, at some point you got to notice and actually look and see what is whacking you in the head.
Yeah, Diana. So I just wanted to let you guys know on the YouTube algorithms, if someone that you follow, if their video goes by and you don't click on it, they're starting to remove those videos and take them out of your feed. So if it's someone you like, be sure you at least click on it, put it in watch later or whatever, but click on it. And maybe that way we can kind of squeeze a little more blood out of this turnip and let us keep going for a little bit longer, because we do want to stay connected with you guys. I think we make a difference. And I think the difference we make is big enough that, they find it concerning and they do what they can just to squeeze the little guys out, the humans out, So I guess lately the thing that we really have to offer is that A, we're human. B, we have emotion. C, we kind of rally all of everyone together to the best of our ability and send out prayers and good vibes where needed. But yeah, just, thumbs up, keep doing that. And just thanks you guys for being there for us, with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank all you guys, and we wish you the best over there with your trial. WMA, I believe that your name was Dane, if I remember right. Angela, I know it was the anniversary of your mom's passing over, so again, send out positive intentions with her in her new realm. Again, when we leave the body, we're just basically having another adventure somewhere else. My gosh, was anybody else's dreams weird last night? We slept in. I mean, we didn't get up until like 7:30. That's unheard of for us. We're usually up at like anywhere between 3 and 5. That was really, really weird. And the dreams were so vivid. And somebody was telling me about the Orion group and things like that in my dream before I woke up. It was really pretty wild. We love you guys too. And thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you again for looking out for these lives and these videos. I think, again, while we're able to, because I do think at some point that they're going to really shut all that down for a period of time. We're going through an intensification, just like the weather here in Indonesia, but it's not just way over there. I mean, it's close to home too. This is the, what do you call that? Snoqualmie? I know KK could say it, but Snoqualmie River, I guess, in Washington. Record-breaking, again, atmospheric river is when it's just one storm after another that never kind of stops. And that's what's happening right now. And KK was telling us that this is like really scary and literally evacuating areas. As you can see, hopefully people will be able to evacuate because, again, it's a scary situation when all of a sudden you can't get to dry land. And you just find yourself on an island all of a sudden. And you don't live on an island, and it's getting smaller and smaller as the water keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be really nerve-wracking, and the water just keeps rising and rising, and there's really not much you can do. Thank you so much, KK. We appreciate that deeply, deeply, deeply. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're sending prayers over that way for everyone. I just keep flashing back to Asheville. That just should not have happened. That was so weird. The water just kept going and going and going. Where was it coming from? It's almost like someone took a plug out of inner earth and let the water come up.
Yeah, so obviously mudslides, that's just one thing that you're going to be facing when you're in these type of conditions. And, we don't want to even think about the geopolitical ramifications if things get escalated, which it does look like they are escalating. So this major atmospheric river is producing really heavy precipitation across western Washington, triggering widespread and potentially historic riverine flooding, according to the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes. 5 to 8 inches of rain over central and northern Washington Cascades, another 3 to 5 inches over the Olympic Peninsula. through 4 PST on December 12th. And, the modeling shows 15 river gauges expected to exceed major flood stage and 4 to surpass record levels within the next 48 hours. This is what we mean by the atmospheric river. You see, it just keeps flowing in. It's just like a nonstop series of storms that just don't stop, and it keeps coming in. It is something that we do see up in this area a lot. And then I got to ask you, how about all that weight from the water? Is that going to throw any more possibility of Cascadia having a quake? Thank you, Robbie. We appreciate your support as well. It means an awful lot to us, guys.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long day today. It was a real long day, but a good day, and K-Head's vibration frequency causes liquefaction of the soil, releasing mass water. Well, that's another way to think of it. I was thinking about the water causing the quake, but what if activity is adding to the water being released below the surface? That's a good thought, too. And as Diane says, yes, that was absolutely a geoengineered storm, without a doubt. It was horrible, and it really hit close to home. Again, we have a lot of friends in that Asheville area, and, it was an area that we had thought about settling in. Yeah, wild times. Anywhere you go, there's going to be challenges. Meanwhile, U.S. forces have intercepted and seized a sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, according to people familiar with the matter, a move that marks a serious escalation of tensions between the two countries. The White House didn't immediately respond to a request for a comment. State oil company Petróleos de Venezuela, S.A., and Venezuela's Oil and Information Ministries didn't respond as well. RT is reporting on that, and this might take a moment to reload there. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the sanctioned vessel was transporting oil from Venezuela and Iran. It's just they've been so intent on creating that WW3 scenario. And this is something that could definitely trigger another reaction that increases that likelihood. Today, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, and the United States Coast Guard, with support from Department of War, remember that was Department of Defense, calling it like it is, Department of War, executed a seizure warrant for a crude oil tanker used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. The vessel had been sanctioned due to its involvement in illicit oil shipping networks supporting foreign terrorist organizations. And you have a video that was posted by Pam Bondi showing heavily armed law enforcement officials descending onto the ship from a helicopter. Multiple media outlets identified the ship as the Skipper, which was sailing under the flag of Guyana. According to the tracking website Marine Traffic, according to ABC News, the tanker, which has the capacity to carry up to 2 million barrels of oil, was heading to Cuba. The U.S. sanctioned the Skipper in 2022 for allegedly smuggling oil to support Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Lebanon-based military group Hezbollah. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro rejected Trump's claim that his government was involved in drug trafficking and warned Washington against starting a crazy war. A group of U.S. legislators recently called for an investigation into strikes on more than 20 boats since September, arguing they may constitute war crimes. Democratic Senator Chris Coons told MSNBC on Tuesday that Trump was sleepwalking us into a war with Venezuela. He argued the former president's true aim was to gain access to Venezuela's oil and mineral resources. There's also a post making its rounds in Twitter saying there's how many congressional representatives? A whole bunch. It was like 30. It was a large number that are supposedly on the payroll of Venezuela. Yeah, kid you not. This is just crazy times.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch and see when those things come up. You want to see if it's going to come up through several different sources. And then when these things do come up, it's like, really, is there actually going to be something done about it? I guess that's where my bubble gets burst constantly. It's like I see, oh, headline news, so and so did this, and they're going to do something in court, yada, yada, yada. Nothing seems to really happen. So I guess I kind of sit on the precipice. I'm like, okay, I know when something is actually done about the activities, then I know we're really going somewhere. But I can say, though, I have seen consciousness really, really, really moving up there in ways where I just don't think a lot of people are ready. I mean, I keep feeling a lot of things that but I know they're going to happen. They just haven't happened yet. It's like all this energy coming up and up and up, like something big is going to hit.
So this is what I was talking about. So Venezuela's former chief of national intelligence, Hugo Carvajal, has released the names of every U.S. senator who is on Venezuela's list of politicians receiving millions in kickbacks from Maduro regime. It's interesting. You see, this is part of the list there. There's several. I don't know if it's true or not. Nothing would surprise me because, again, I've seen a lot of people now putting out there, please share with us what percentage of Congress do you think is corrupt? And the answer I see more often than not is 100%. So I think that's good. People are recognizing that, when you get down to it, politicians tend to be some of the most corrupt people on the planet.
Well, they can be, but until we do something about it, they're going to continue because they keep getting away with it. So why should they change?
Right. Christine Love, good day to you as well. Yeah, we're being pulled in every direction, Chris. Totally. I wish that we could just set up. I wish there was an island, giant island in a beautiful tropical place. That was, the island of La Paz, the peace. We could all go there, and there's going to be no government, and plenty of coconuts and pineapples and sunshine and fresh air, and everybody can just do their own thing without being pulled into the nonstop conflicts and drama and low vibrational frequencies. So lots of buzz here, and this is they're definitely laying it on heavy at this point in time. And there's more coming out. You have this from the Telegraph. China would destroy U.S. military in a fight over Taiwan. Top secret documents warn. Beijing's hypersonic missiles could sink U.S. aircraft carriers within minutes. I think we have 11 aircraft carriers. I'm not sure how many are operational or being employed at this moment in time. They have always been an ability to project force because each one of them can carry many fighter jets, and as well as, obviously personnel. But are they outdated in a time when you have so much, capacity from drones? Are they just sitting ducks? Has it all been purposefully done too? Because it does seem that unit, which we would call globalists, seem to be invested in China winning the war.
Yeah, I think it's all technology at this point.
Yeah, slip up a higher density like Sasquatch. Absolutely. Yeah, wouldn't it be great though if there was a place that didn't go along with all this political BS and was free of all the corruption and all the leeching that the political system does and governments do all around the world. So this has been really, really telegraphed. And, it's interesting that we have this with Taiwan. I don't know. The Polish psychic, though, boy, he put out some really interesting ones. I'm going to share that with you in a moment. U.S. plans to scrutinize foreign tourists' social media history, even visitors from countries like Britain and France, whose citizens don't need visas, would have to share 5 years' worth of social media, I guess, to prove that you're pro-U.S., or is it to prove that you're pro whatever regime is in power at that time. I mean, where are we going with all this?
There's always ulterior motives.
Yeah, well, I mean, CCP tech is substandard. I think that's what we're sold. I don't know if that's really, really the case. Again, I think a lot of it is just a shell game. It really is a shell game to keep us looking and distracted. Let's see. Let's unblock. I don't know. This is all weird stuff happening too. I actually had my VPN. It wouldn't load, and I rebooted and it wouldn't load. It's like somebody took total control for a while. Danish spy agency. Danish, right? Now views the U.S. as a possible security concern. Do you see the way this is going? Because, again, it feels like there's an isolation happening right now for the U.S. The U.S. is kind of being isolated. China and Brazil create joint space laboratory despite U.S. pressure. Again, the BRICS nations. This is the B and the C in BRICS, by the way. Brazil is the largest country in South America. It's half of South America is Brazil. It's not too far off the size of the U.S. in land area. And it has about 2/3 the population of the United States, 2/3 to 3/4. It's a big nation to pay attention to. China, by the way, is almost exactly the size of the U.S., but it has about 4 times, if we believe the population estimates, the people that the U.S. does, somewhere around 4.5 times. So this is a strong union that, again, you would have to take note of. And then when you add Russia and India and other nations, as there is now about a dozen BRICS nations into the mix, you have a recipe for economic downfall of the U.S. And perhaps the European Union. But then what are we watching right now? We're watching the European Union and the U.S. kind of distance themselves from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a mess.
It is. So this is the Clear Seeing site. This is not Christoph's official site. You have to do your own translating on his official site, which I've shared before too, and you could just plug his name in there. He is a amazingly gifted psychic who has helped the police find lost people, and in many investigations, in fact. He's truly amazing, and I only put him second to Cindy, and as far as the people that we know of. And he's been so accurate. I have seen dozens of his predictions come to pass. And what's he saying, as you see? I would say the big things that he gave us recently, and I haven't caught up with his last one that he did, was that he was saying December is go time. He was thinking December is when it all kicks off. And again, he doesn't want to be a negative Nelly. He's just saying this, again, as heads up, in case you're not prepared. And I'm thinking, I'm not prepared. I can go out and get propane tomorrow. We need propane refilled and things like that. What happens if the power goes off? Have backup to your backups as much as you can. Water filtration, dry goods, dry foods. If there is, again, a war that does break out in earnest, besides things like drafts and that stuff we don't want to think about at this point in time, you really might find rationing. That's something that does happen in wartime scenarios. Rationing would be one of the first things. You might also find, since this will be an economic battle as well, prices of basic goods going through the roof, and they've been doing that for a while already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been going on. It's becoming more and more difficult to go eat. Take care, Jen. We'll see you later. I just want to say thanks again for everyone popping in. I think it's a very important night. I think it's a very pivotal time in humanity right now. And the more of us that can get together and come and put out those good intentions and that understanding that, things are going to get better. They're going to get better. They might get a little worse before they get better, but they're getting better.
Yeah, and what he sees is now he wasn't picking up on necessarily. He was changing the wording because again, timelines are fluid. They're very fluid, and I do think that we are avoiding the worst of the timelines. Does that mean we can get away without a big scale global war? The way he described it is he sees 5 or 6 wars breaking out in 2026. And he does say that everything seems to start right now, the last few weeks of 2025. The biggest of these battles is he sees a naval battle, confrontation, naval war involving U.S. and China. That would not be good. He has picked up on all sorts of economic game playing going on between BRICS and the U.S. and NATO. And he did see that that occurring, some sort of direct confrontation. The interesting thing he saw too was he sees Trump not being in power for most of 2026. Somebody else is going to come in power. And he's seeing Trump having to step down, possibly over some sort of health situation. He does say America is going to start the war. It's going to be the U.S. that starts the war. And he sees the U.S., not just Venezuela, but other Latin American countries as well. And, Colombia has been mentioned. So you might see more than one Latin American country being at odds and literally at war with the U.S., which, again, that's the last thing I want to see. And I know it's the last thing you guys want to see. We want to see peace, and we want to see people get along because, again, what's happening is the realization of all the political bribes that have been taken. And, where the politicians, they've been selling us out all along for profit. It's almost like, you make it into these political groups, and they are insider groups. And what does that mean? What happens when you're in there? It's almost like there's an entitlement that now you're kind of above the law. You're part of, the insiders club, so nothing applies to you. It doesn't apply to you. And, just like Nancy Pelosi, you can never miss on any sort of trade. You just hit the jackpot every single time. That's not just Nancy Pelosi again. It's so massive. The corruption is being realized. So again, they need a very, very large distraction.
And they're creating large distractions too, but which ones are distractions and which ones do we pay close attention to? I think there's a lot to pay attention to right now, just so you can position yourself in a good way to get through the bumps.
Yeah, and we talk about this, and they take about 15 watchers off immediately. Again, the numbers that they give you it's what they give you, because the numbers we've gotten, that the numbers are many times what they show. But again, they're in charge of the entire monetary system, and the new one that comes out, they'll be in charge of that too. It's looking for real alternatives, not another scenario that they've role played and game played forever. And which one is the public most likely to fall for? That's really what they do. Then they use AI to roll the dice on that at the same time. It is the agenda. Yes, Agenda 2030. It was Agenda 21. And of course, we had all sorts of chaos with the beginning of the war that started in 2020, as Chris says, if you catch my drift. Well, we certainly catch it. Absolutely. So, it's recognizing what's happening. And, he does get that Trump will be stepping down shortly. He won't be president in 2026. And if it is, if it is JD, then, people are not going to be happy with him and the scenario, because he also says that the person that's president pulls in a lot of heads of very, very powerful corporations, people associated with really big corporations. And that's going to make people very unhappy. And that ultimately what people end up realizing is this was completely a Big Brother power grab. And people will feel like they've been played.
Yeah, they're gonna feel that, but I would hope that they feel something, because we all know and can see something just isn't right everywhere. From just everywhere, things are not functioning the way they should, technology wise. Our social realms, our societies are not healthy. Morale is down kind of everywhere you go. People work, they're not happy at their jobs, especially if they have to follow certain protocols and procedures that they know is wrong. I mean, that energy is starting to really, really tear at people. It's really starting to bother them. They're in a place where they have to continue to listen to what they know now to be lies, lies, and more lies. And they have to tolerate it because they need to keep a roof over their head. They got to keep food on the table. What are they going to do? And people are just sort of fed up.
Yeah, I'm looking at your guys' comments about Erica and JD, etc. It's really weird. It all feels really, really weird, but you got to understand, what this club is all about. And, again, we're just looking at another facet of the club. And, would JD put Peter Thiel in as Secretary of Commerce or something? Or maybe he'll even make him Secretary of State. Who would be the VP? Would they bring RFK Jr. up to VP? Or, I personally have more faith and I don't have faith in any of them, but at least from what I see RFK Jr. doing, or at least, he's got the role to do that. I see more positive there, but I also feel his energy, and I feel that he truly is ticked at what happened to his uncle and father. So I feel there's a little bit more legitimacy there, very little legitimacy anywhere in the political structure. But, again, this is what Christoph is finding. There's going to be an absolute economic rug pull. There's more than one economic rug pull. And again, he's seeing that Trump won't be here in charge for most. As you see here, this is where he's talking about the Chinese Navy and the American Navy will face each other, and they'll sail towards each other. Will be a game of bluff. In the U.S., there'll be protests against the president who will be in place of Trump, demanding his ouster. People will want to overthrow this president, and there'll be riots. And he's talking about big-scale riots in the U.S., and Putin will order preventive airstrikes. So on infrastructure, among others, in Poland. So, and he is in Poland as well. And no significant reaction to it from the U.S. The U.S. won't do anything. I think the U.S. and Russia have some sort of covert agreement. Like I said before, I said this like months ago, I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. lets them take back into the sphere of influence Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and even part of Poland, as well as, having them let us maybe take control of Venezuela and Cuba, Nicaragua. It's going back to the Monroe Doctrine thing for those of you that are familiar with that, if you remember your high school and college history. Cindy says, I want no piece of that. No piece of that. Yeah, it's the reptilian side of things. Palantir, absolutely, already installed and in place. Mary Moore is praying for healing to anybody that may need them. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is definitely going to be a little bit challenging, but we send our prayers and intentions to everybody out there and all you beautiful people. Canada signs a deal with the EU to make digital IDs interoperable across borders. It's called a Memorandum of Understanding on Digital Credentials, Digital Identity Wallets, and Trust Services. They're building infrastructure for global ID compliance. This new Canada-EU Digital Pact follows the June 2025 commitment to align digital frameworks and establish interoperable digital identities. You see where this is going, right? So it makes it so interesting that there were those out there, going back to the Russian professor that said that the U.S. is going to be broken up into four pieces, I think he said. I think this was back in the 80s. We've talked about this many times. And a part of the U.S. is going to go and be under control of the EU, perhaps Canada too. When you look at it, this all makes sense the way it's coming down.
It does. Yeah, go ahead and search. It does. And it's, I was speaking with a very dear friend today, and we were talking about kind of the goings-ons in people's personal lives and, and externally. And it just seems like everything that was put together inappropriately, that was not put together in a good, solid, strong way, it seems like all of that footing is being loosened. But in that sense, things are falling apart, but so they can be put back together appropriately.
Yeah, this is the map. So if this Russian professor was correct, again, going back to the 80s, the European Union ends up taking control of the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way up into New England. Everywhere from Florida, Texas to New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas again. This all goes to Mexico, so we would be part of Mexico's jurisdiction. And the whole West Coast goes to China, and then the central part becomes part of Canada. Again, of course, we're all putting out the intention that none of this comes to pass. I would love to see, a world free of borders. Of course, we've been taught to be terrified of that. The whole concept of one world order. Well, we don't want a one world order under the leadership that it's been under. If it was under the advising of a wise group of elders, true wise elders, that would be something very different. Susan Donahue has talked about that many, many times. This is him. Igor, Panarin, absolutely. It was in 1998 he predicted the U.S. would disintegrate by 2010. After that, his claims were criticized. He wrote 15 books about it. Well, we'll see. Will it manifest in 2026, which happens to be the 250th anniversary of the U.S.? Can you imagine that? If the U.S. somehow broke up on the 250th anniversary?
Well, it sounds appropriate, yeah.
It does kind of sound a little appropriate. Here's Larry Fink of BlackRock. We were talking about a different type of BlackRock in the other videos today. The largest wealth management company in the world says digitalization of all and financial assets will be stored in digital wallets. It happened worldwide, and it'll happen very quickly. Yeah, they're tokenizing everything. They're tokenizing your underwear. They're tokenizing your car, your property. And, again, is this not digital slavery? I mean, this is like right out of the books of the Anunnaki. It's no different. And, again, how they get there. I think they have a million different ways of getting there lined up. And they just use AI to see which one is the most likely one to win at this point in time. And they just adjust the programming. So I got to know. I have my strong opinion on this. Who was the best James Bond? How about in order? 1, 2, 3. What do you guys, how would you rate them? Because number 1 I have clearly in mind. Number 2 might be a little bit of a toss-up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Skadra Diana. Britain is installing cameras that are enabled to detect emotions. Yeah, that's part of it too, to know when you're being cynical or when you're lying to them. Forced behaviors on us, Ray Finky. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Diana says, spiritually awakened person. Again, this world promotes those that are the most corrupt. There she is, Angela Bloom. Thank you so much, Angela. Thanks for being part of this family for so long. It's always great to see your face and to see you joining us.
Yes, I agree. Let's try to manifest a peaceful outcome.
Yeah, and I do think that what's going to happen is I think it's going to be a separation of energies. I just think there's going to be some areas that people will gravitate to that will become freer zones, free of this system. And I think those areas will keep growing as time goes on.
I think that they will too. We just have to keep at it.
Yeah, Robbie, you're right. They're going to all be AI soon. So, okay, guys. Connery, Moore, Lazarby, Craig. That's Chris's. Yeah, I would put Sean Connery 1. Yeah, it's a toss-up for 2 and 3. I guess I would have to go Connery, Moore, and maybe Craig, because he's tougher than Pierce Brosnan, and Lazarby. That's the one that I can never remember his name.
I know, and when it comes to the emotions, it's no wonder like AI, or I'm sorry, YT is kind of, they're putting people who are going to show their faces all the time. They're giving them a little more of a priority. Thank you so much, Elantra. We appreciate it. And it's not that we mind putting our faces on there, but, they're using that. It's like they're collecting the data for the AI. So if they're doing that in Britain, reading the facial expressions, it's going to be everywhere. And YouTube is kind of, to me, what they want people's expressions. They want emotion. And this is very, very recent. And I think that's the exact reason why. It's for the AI to monitor people later. What can we do with it? We can't really do anything about it. We live in this world. I don't think going against AI is going to do anything. I think we have to find a way, as humans do, to go up and above whatever is going on. And we can do that too. I also think there's going to be a separation of energy, because at some point people are going to say, I'm not going to have, this and this and that. And they're just going to step into a different place and do something different with themselves. Thanks for all the support, you guys.
So you have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna saying interdimensional beings are real. She can't say any more, but hey, they're real. The reality is, Paul Hellyer, how about this one? Canadian Defense Minister. Yes, it's true. We've been in contact with your government and heads of power. It's also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from the people. So, what more do people want when you have these, again, politicians just telling you that interdimensional beings are real? There's interactions between, and this is why I like ultra-terrestrial, because it covers extraterrestrial, it covers inner Earth, it covers those in the oceans, it covers the interdimensional aspect, all the above. They're very real. And, this has been an alien ant farm all along, is kind of that big reveal. Haim Eshed ran Israel's space security program for 30 years, says there is a Galactic Federation of extraterrestrials. They're waiting for humans to be ready before revealing themselves. They've prevented leaders from disclosing to prevent mass hysteria. Yeah, we've gotten that. So we could see the paradigm is shifting. How about all those Nazca mummy talk of these weird little things? You got people laughing, saying they are so fake. People put them together with clay and little bits of styrofoam and stuff. Well, it turns out that there's DNA tests. They've looked at these things inside and out. And yeah, you know what? They're biological. Not only that, they seem to be reptilian hybrids. Not only that, they seem to be implanted with technology that very well could be AI.
Mm-hmm. It could be. It's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what can you say? These are interesting times that we all chose to be born in. Meanwhile, look at Lake Michigan. Holy cow, that looks cold. Again, not by fire, but by ice. And with all the volcanic activity, which may be increasing, seems to be increasing, there's a tendency for extreme volcanic activity to bring about colder temperatures. And colder temperatures do a lot more damage as far as growing crops than warmer temperatures. And that's just the reality of things.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we just got delivered today a greenhouse. Thank you guys for the greenhouse, because without you guys, we couldn't do this. And, all your donations have enabled us to get a greenhouse. I have been picking tomatoes and peppers to this day, but it's going to drop to the 20s on Sunday. So I got to get the greenhouse up over the next 2 days. And hopefully we'll keep having some fresh produce throughout the rest of the winter.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I mean, it's serious go time, guys. No tumor we have ever studied can survive without glucose and glutamine. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, top cancer researcher. This is, again, it's understanding. Look up terrain theory. For those that never looked up terrain theory, it's all about maintaining an environment in our body that is healthy for the healthy tissues, the healthy cells, and maintaining a toxic environment for the parasites and cancer. That's really what we have to look at. Again, it killed me. I was running a retirement community. I had a doctor that came in. We had to give her the okay to come in because she was like 59 years old and we were like 62 plus. But we allowed her to come in ahead of time because she was in an advanced stage 4 cancer. This is, again, the corporate world. It wasn't my decision. I just ran the business. But when I saw her caregiver going and getting her iced tea and then putting 12 sugars in the iced tea, I asked the caregiver, I said, "What are you doing?" And she's like, she wants that much sugar. She's a doctor. She should know better. This feeds cancer. Unfortunately, she didn't know better because she hadn't had that much nutrition schooling and education.
I know. Yeah, it's very interesting.
The QF, quantum financial system, honestly, Mary, I don't trust any of it. I really don't. I just don't trust any of it. I feel that, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of hopium out there that, and a lot of rug pulling that happens. I hope that we will have, again, people are waiting for Gesara and Nasara. They're waiting for, that type of help. I don't see the Galactic Federation helping with those type of things. The real Galactic Federation is fifth density. These are light beings, not really physical like us. They can offer emotional, spiritual advice and even some technological know-how and instruction in some things. But, as far as that, they don't infringe on our free will. And, they want us to live our lives out our way. They don't like it when we are played, but again, it would be, it would pull karma in on them if they do too much for us.
Well, I've noticed that they definitely help those who are helping themselves for sure.
Yeah, and Robbie says pretty cold up in Massachusetts. So, again, starve out the sickness, starve out the parasites. I drink my filtered water with a few drops of wormwood in it every day. I just got used to doing that. A little lemon in there is good for alkalizing. Look at this face. This boy or girl absolutely loves the person that is petting him. That's love. That's a look of love. I see that with Sita and Rama and Sassy.
I want to.
Raccoons, they say they are becoming domesticated, showing signs of domestication. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think there are literally angels that could be embodied and are embodied in many of the world's creatures.
Are we going to do a ding?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone for the extra help. Elantra, Miss Angela, Robbie, Kristen, you guys, thank you so, so much for your extra support. And I want to give you some dings, and I want to set that intention again for a very happy evening and a good night's sleep for everyone, and hopefully safety across the board. So here we go. Take a deep breath. Thank you so much, you guys. Source bless and namaste.
Much love. Get out in the sun, soak in that DNA tonic. Much love, much gratitude. Thank you guys. Source bless. Namaste.